So you might think that you're just giving your partner feedback, but if you're doing this one thing, you're quietly killing trust and connection in your relationship with them. And research shows it's one of the biggest predictors of divorce. So today I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about, why we do it, and how to stop before it destroys your marriage for good. If you're new here, I'm Aaron McDougall. I help committed couples overcome disconnection so they can laugh, love, and enjoy life together again. If you haven't yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We drop 2 videos a week to help you learn to lead and love better in your relationship. So what am I talking about? Well, I'm talking about criticism. Now, this is one of the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, according to Dr. John Gottman. If you don't know Gottman, he has created the Love Lab. He is one of the foundational researchers around relationships, and he has put a lot of science and data behind knowing what some of the predictors of divorce is. And criticism is what they call the first horseman of the apocalypse when it comes to the end of relationships. So what is criticism? Well, really, it's a repressed complaint that you have within yourself or your partner has within themselves that builds up over time and then explodes and comes out as criticism. There's a few reasons we do this. Typically, it shifts blame onto another person so that we can feel better. So we feel righteous. So we feel vindicated in a sense, right? So very part of human behavior in terms of trying to get other people to change through criticizing them so that you can feel better. It protects us because it avoids vulnerability, right? It feels a lot safer to attack others and try to get them to change in that way instead of asking for what we want and need in a genuine way, especially if we're afraid that it's not going to be received or provided for. And criticism is also something that we often learn from our family of origin, right? If you had somebody in your life who spoke to you or spoke with others around you through critical ideas, through criticizing you and others, well, you probably pick that up as just a way to communicate. It's a bad habit, and oftentimes it disguises a deeper desire for some form of connection. So the easiest shift that you can think about, and what I'll talk about here, is a few shifts that you can take, whether you're the person criticizing, and that's kind of I always think about this, it's like a million paper cuts in your marriage, right? If you're criticizing all the time. Or if your partner is the one criticizing, what you can actually do about it to eradicate this behavior and move towards more connection. The first thing is understanding that there's a difference between criticism and complaint. So criticism oftentimes is about a person, right? It's an attack on a character. And some of the signs are words like always, never, you are, you this, you that, right? You're always late. You never do the dishes. You're lazy, right? These are criticisms, and oftentimes come from contempt for another person. Not always. Oftentimes it can be a defensive mechanism, but criticism can be hurtful to another and is an attack on another person. As opposed to a complaint is about a behavior in a specific moment, right? So instead of saying, you're lazy, you might say something like, I asked you to do the dishes and you didn't do them yet, right? So again, that would be a complaint as opposed to a criticism. And that alone would shift how the person is able to receive what you're saying. They then can now engage with that instead of just defending their own character. The damage really that can create over time, if you really think about the chain, right, which adds another horseman here around defensiveness, but oftentimes the chain is a person criticizes, then their partner goes into defensiveness. The person who criticized doesn't feel heard, so they escalate the situation. And then they both leave disconnected because one person's closing up, one person's chasing and getting loud and angry. Nothing gets resolved. Disconnection happens, and you're back to licking your wounds on your own until the next time one or both of you feels unheard, disconnected, and steps back into criticism. We need to understand that behind every piece of criticism, even behind every complaint, there is a request. And it's our responsibility as the person who's criticizing or the person who's receiving the criticism to try to lean into the nuances about what exactly that request is for the need that our partner or that we have, right? It disguises some form of bid for connection. Saying something like, you're lazy, might mean something like, it's really important to me that the kitchen is clean because it allows me to feel relaxed. And so I would love it if you could help me keep the kitchen clean, right? And as you can see, that's a request. And if you take it all the way to the end, it's you're lazy because a person who criticizes thinks that by telling the person they're lazy, it's going to motivate them, right? Think like cracking the whip to create change. And so if you're the person who's criticizing, or if you hear somebody else criticizing, start to ask, like, what's really going on here for me, right? If I'm criticizing and I'm attacking a person, well, what is it actually that I want? Like, if I could get that person to do exactly what I wanted from them, well, what would that do for me? And some people even have trouble thinking about this. Like, no, it's not about me. They're just lazy. No, you're just protecting yourself from having an actual request because maybe your own needs have been put aside for so long, or maybe you've been taught that your needs don't matter and that you're a burden in your family of origin. Therefore, there's no way you're going to think about your needs. You've just accepted that you don't have needs. And so why would you even request anything? You just hate that they're lazy. And you continue to justify that behavior. And so start to really go into self-awareness and the nuances of why it is you're criticizing and what you actually want. Now, if you're the person who is receiving the criticism, it's important that you're not taking the bait of always and never of a character attack. You need to work on to stop taking things personally. And there's a few pieces to this, right? First, you have to build up your own sense of esteem, right? I think about this all the time, but like, if my wife is saying, you work too much, right? That's just like a blank statement, right? Well, I might take that as bait and start to argue that I don't work too much and bring comparisons of other people who work too much and then give examples of the times when I didn't work and I spent time with her. Now we're just arguing, right, about who's right and who's wrong. And again, being right is a losing strategy when it comes to connection. If you're more focused on being right, you're pretty much going to feel disconnected all the time. And so in that moment, instead of me taking the bait and saying, oh, I have to defend my point here and show her that I don't work too much, so she changes her opinion of me. Instead, I try to connect to the more nuanced things, which is what's below the surface. Hey, tell me about how my work impacts your experience. Tell me about how me working the amount that I work every week, what does that do for you? How does that impact you? What is it you wish I did differently? Right? And what you're doing is you're inviting some of this nuanced, some of the stuff that's happening below the vulnerability threshold, right? Below the surface. So your partner can connect to that and really start to talk about what's actually going on for them and what their bid to connection is, right? And then validate that experience. Hey, I could see that you're feeling lonely, that you want to connect with me. And it makes sense that when you want to connect with me while I'm working, that would lead to you feeling even lonelier. And that you believe that if I can work less, that would lead to us being together more. I totally get that. Right? And then you can start to offer solutions, right? Not just keep talking about the problems. But, hey, what would it be like if I took Friday afternoon off this week and we just spent time together? How would that feel? Right? And your partner might be like, no, you don't do that. You're working, and be like, no, I want to do it. I want to do it, not just for you, but I miss you too. Right? And now you're stepping into collaboration. You're empathizing with the situation. So you didn't take the bait of the criticism, you always, you never, and instead you started to keep the spotlight on them and start to understand with empathy, with leadership, what's actually going on for them below the surface. And it's not about trying to get them to tell you something. It's about being genuinely curious and holding some space for them to express themselves so you can understand them. And so start to think about how criticism is impacting your own relationship. Are you the partner who's typically critical? Are you often using words like always and never? Are you shifting to blame, thinking that if your partner just did this, then you would get? Or are you often the person receiving criticism? Maybe you have a partner who leans into criticism more. Well, what is it you actually think they want? What's below the surface for them? If they could solve this problem, they keep saying you're never around, you work too much. Well, What is it that they're trying to experience by motivating you with their own whip? Right? Get to the nuance of that. Seek to understand, bring that up, connect with that part of them, right? The more vulnerable part of them. That might be scary for them, but holding space for that is going to be really, really important. And so a few points to remember here, right? First, criticism kills connection. And so instead of being critical with your partner, or instead of inviting always and nevers and you, replace it with specific, vulnerable requests. Or even a complaint. Just share a complaint about a specific moment and how it impacted you. Use I statements. Instead of saying, you didn't do the dishes and I'm pissed off, say, I walked into the kitchen and I saw there was still dishes on the counter. I felt frustrated when I saw that. Right? And then you can make a request. Can you finish those dishes up in the next hour? That would really mean a lot to me. Right? And that's way better than saying you're lazy or you didn't do this and you're never doing this. Right? The second part is always look for the need behind the words. I call it the conversation behind the conversation. Right? What's actually going on here for your partner? What's actually going on for you in your own experience? What's below the surface? Start to think about that and connect to that. There's some nuance to this so you can understand your partner at a deeper level, right? And so if you have felt some of this, I also invite you to drop your own always and nevers in the comment. Where do you struggle with this? Speak it out. Bring it into reality. Be honest with yourself, right? And go ahead and subscribe so you don't miss a video so you can continue to learn and really lead with love in your relationship. I'll see you in the next video.